All right. Thanks, Steve. Great to see everyone back out here. Before we move on, I know I said it after the game. I said it in the teleconference on Sunday. I posted something on social media, but just wanted to thank our fans again for last Saturday. What an amazing experience to be part of, to get to coach in from college game day to even before Saturday, Friday, the environment around Gamecock Park when we walked across the street to the walkthrough. Saturday with college game day, Saturday in the stadium. It's what college football was all about, and thanks to our fans for that. We had 52 players at the game, recruits that we've offered scholarships to. So 52 recruits with scholarship offers from South Carolina were at that game, and that's all they could talk about. And then I mentioned last week that on Monday nights we take an hour as a staff and just FaceTime prospects, and a lot of the ones that we talked to last night that weren't here on Saturday but were watching on television, all they could talk about was the environment they saw on college game day, the environment they saw during the game. So thanks to our fans for that. And as we told every single prospect, this won't be the last time that college game day's here. That won't be the last time that we play on a national stage. And I think I just read that it was the most watched noon SEC game in 7 years, 6 years, something like that. So won't be the last time this season that we're in big time environments like that as well. So we'll continue to need our fans, and so grateful for them as well. Having said that, got to move on. Can't let last Saturday linger. It's behind us. Nothing we can do about it now. And we're full speed ahead on Akron, and they have our full attention. If you know anything about, college football, there's the Sun Belt Conference that is knocked off a bunch of teams, and I went through the dang near the history of the Sun Belt Conference before Old Dominion. You don't have to go through the history of the MAC. I can, but if you just look at this season, you can look at what Toledo did to an SEC team on Saturday. You can see what Bowling Green almost did to Penn State a couple weeks ago, lost to Penn State by 7 in State College. You can look at what Northern Illinois did to Notre Dame a couple weeks ago. And then just this Akron team alone, they're playing Ohio State in Columbus, and it's 17-3 with a little under 9 minutes left in the third quarter. So this is a team that presents a lot of problems. Don't know Coach Moorhead well, but have a ton of respect for him and have as a coach for a long time. He's obviously familiar with this league from having been in the SEC. And then just I'm finding out more and more about him. I've always enjoyed watching his offenses, but just finding out more and more about him. I did not realize, you guys that have been here for a while, David will remember this one, the infamous Papa John's Bowl in Birmingham in 2009. Coach Moorhead was, I believe, the offensive coordinator for Connecticut that day, and found out last night, I didn't even know this, that he and Clayton White worked together at Connecticut. And Robbie Ashford just told me on the field that Coach Moorhead was his offensive coordinator when Robbie was at Oregon. So all kinds of things that I'm finding out about in addition to the respect that I already have for him as a coach. Enjoy watching his offenses, and he presents a unique style of football. Offensively, they're playing two quarterbacks, and not just like put one quarterback in the game and take the other one out, but put both quarterbacks in the game and run their offense. And it's a lot that our defense will have to prepare for. Coaches are thieves, so when it comes to two quarterback systems, I've seen some things that I like for us that, who knows, we may run this week that we stole from them. So they're really good from that standpoint. Defensively, they present problems. They play really, really hard. They made it really tough on Ohio State to run the football in the first half. And then special teams-wise, very aggressive, very opportunistic, attempt to block kicks when we kick field goals. Extremely aggressive trying to block our field goal, extremely aggressive trying to block punts, and they do a good job and have good players as well. So another challenge for us, it's opportunity number 4 for us, and had a good practice this morning, I thought, and didn't see any signs of Saturday lingering. Obviously, Saturday and Sunday was tough, no question about it, and but we're excited to get the opportunity to go compete again in Williams-Brice on Saturday night, which I know everyone's excited about as well, being across the street on Saturday night. Health-wise, certainly physical football game against LSU last Saturday. As we sit here on Tuesday, optimistic that all of our key guys will be able to play. Everybody did a little bit today to a certain degree, and I think they'll all be able to do degree more tomorrow, and then we'll see as we go as we get closer to Saturday from a health standpoint where we are. Questions?
Shane, playing kind of a hypothetical after the injury report, but if Linares couldn't go or you guys elect to rest him, I'm assuming Robbie would be number one.
Yeah, and we told Robbie and Davis they'll continue to compete this week, and Linares assures me he's good and will be ready to roll. But Robbie went into the LSU game as the second quarterback and came out of the LSU game as the second quarterback. He'll be better for it. Davis is someone that we have a lot of confidence in. There's no question about it, and we'll continue to develop everybody at every position.
And where would Luke Doty fit in, if at all, to quarterback?
He'd be in the mix as well. I think we'd be, dumb not to. And the thing with Luke all along, David, has been you go focus on receiver and special teams, but you're not getting too far away from quarterback. And Luke's a smart kid. I mean, he. We've gotten him some reps at quarterback periodically throughout the season already, and he doesn't miss a beat when he goes in there.
With Lenore saying that he'll be ready, do you guys have to, as a staff, training staff, coaching staff, whoever, have to maybe try to protect him from himself since there's still a longer season to play beyond just this week?
Yeah, but we're trying to win a game Saturday night, and that's not going to be easy either. And I know it's easy to say, well, this is not an SEC team, and they're 1-2, and they lost to Ohio State and Rutgers. This team presents problems, and we've got to do what we have to do to win the football game on Saturday. But certainly we're always going to do what's best for our players and our football team. But we've got a bunch of competitors, and Saturday, Linares wanted to play in that game. I didn't think it was best for him or the team for him to finish the second half from a health standpoint. I just didn't think he was where he needed to be. So certainly if a guy's where he needs to be, and any position, quarterback or kicker or whatever, if they feel like they're where they need to be in order to play, and we feel like they're where they need to be, then we're going to get them out there for sure.
Coach, with respect to you and your team moving on, did you receive any feedback from the SEC about the officiating from Saturday?
I did. I know Coach Tanner had some conversations on Sunday, and typically if we send in plays each week, we usually get them back Monday night, and I got them back Monday night and watched. It's a video they send of the plays that we sent in, and then it's the plays sent back to you with a voiceover of the play, and received that last night about 9 p.m.
I think you talked, it was either Saturday or Sunday, about needing, to get the run game more going outside of Rocket. How do you feel about how that's going this week, and how do you prepare to, try to get more guys in this week if you want to do that?
Yeah, one, we got to be able to play more. And we've been in games where we felt comfortable with Rocket, not just because of Rocket's ability as a running back, but Rocket from a pass protection standpoint, he's really good. And we like him in there. We just have a lot of confidence in him. But we the biggest thing, we were in a dogfight Saturday, Jack, and it's hard to take guys out. And we got other guys in there. I mean, other running backs played, and Oscar was in there some. But I've coached running backs at two different schools, and you can't just ask one guy to play 60, 70 plays every game at that position. He's going to get worn down. So, one, we've got to be able to get other guys in there, whether that's Oscar, whether that's Juju, whether that's Jawarn Howell, Matthew Fuller. All those guys Brad Dunn, all those guys have been on every trip with us. They went to Kentucky. They've been in uniform and dressed out every game. They've got to continue to come along, or we feel comfortable putting them in there. But we've also got to be willing to just throw them in there and let them continue to develop and get better as well.
Shane, going back to Matt's question about the SEC response, did you feel satisfied at all by their response? And I mean, how you've got to, I guess you got to flush it one way or another to look forward to what's going on. What's the purpose of some of this if it really doesn't have any effect on what the outcome will be?
I thought I was going to get off easy with my answer on the first one as well. Dang it. It doesn't matter kind of what I said or what I think. the voiceover comes back from John McDade. He's the head of officials who was a referee in this league and was a referee way back in the Big East days when my dad was coaching, and someone that I've got great respect for. And if I pick up the phone and call him, he'll answer the phone year round, so I've got a great relationship with him. And Jason, the head referee in that game Saturday, I've got great respect for him. He's very professional and great to deal with on game days. That's a lot of the times when we don't send in plays after a game, it's honestly thinking that, like, what's the point? I know they missed it, so why do I need to send it in as well? So we don't send in a lot of plays. We did this week because, frankly, there were a lot that I wanted some clarification on that I disagreed with or wasn't sure what they were calling or why this was a penalty. And some of them from Saturday were ones where we got flagged for this, but if we had done this, would we have still been flagged? Stuff like that, things that I'd had questions about. So there were some certainly that I maybe didn't like what he said, but I get it. There were some that I absolutely was on board with his response, and then there were a couple that, frankly, we can agree to disagree on some of them as well. But all good. I appreciate their responses and know that officials have a tough job, and there's a lot of plays in that game, and I'm sure LSU was upset with a lot of the things that maybe weren't called on their end. Who knows? But in the end, it's just like I told our team, officiating didn't decide the game, and were there some impactful plays? Absolutely. Absolutely. And more than in one game than I can remember. But at the same time, if we just do what we're supposed to do and not even put it in officials' hands, it's a whole different story.
I guess speaking on those types of penalties, what do you do after a week like that in terms of the procedural stuff, the false starts, the offsides? Do you tweak anything in how you guys practice, anything you emphasize? What does that look like?
No, we talk about it. We try and educate it. We've done different things around here, even in practice. And going back to last season, to be honest with you, we had some... We wanted to be, I think 21 and 22, we were really good, one of the fewest penalized teams in the league. 23, we crept up and we weren't as good in 23. So one of the things I did this offseason was looked at the 10 least penalized teams in the country. And if I told you guys this previously, I apologize for repeating the story, but I just called the head coaches of 10 of the least penalized teams in the country and called Jim Harbaugh and called PJ Fleck and called, I'm trying to think who else, Tom Herman was down at FAU, and who else? Wake Forest was one of those, someone else. There were 5 of them that I talked to, and just, hey, what do you do in practice if you have a false start or you have an offsides? And we've tweaked some things that we do in practice when we have them than what we had done compared to what we had done last year. I think in a situation like that, it's really just trying to go back and educate, and clearly we have to do a better job. We had 2 offsides penalties that are maddening in critical situations, and one of them was before a 2-minute warning, where 2-minute timeout, I think that's the proper language, that they probably weren't even going to snap the ball, and it's stuff that we've practiced in August and walkthroughs, and we've talked about, hey, with the 2-minute timeout this year, it makes sense for teams to just run up to the line and try and draw you offsides because they don't have to snap the ball. Clearly, I didn't do a good enough job of conveying that in the walkthroughs because it happened to us on Saturday. Or we had a penalty for a receiver not being set when the ball was snapped. And that's something that we've talked about a lot. Like, we got to get set, but quarterbacks, you got to look outside to the widest and make sure they're set before we snap the ball. And clearly we, meaning me, we haven't done a good enough job of getting that message across. So we just continue to emphasize it even more and then just try and educate on penalties. I've been a part of a lot of different things where, the whole team goes out on the practice field on Sundays and runs out to they circle up and they say, hey, I'm Jordan K, and I cost the team 15 yards, and my bad. And then the whole team does 15 up downs. I've done that. I've done you run for penalties. I've done where you watch a penalty tape of the penalties. I've done where you don't even talk about them. I've been a part of all of it in my 25 years as a coach. So, I feel good about where we are. We've just got to do a better job of coaches of emphasizing it and really getting the message across.
first drive of the game against LSU was really methodical. You guys were able to score, and it looks like a big jump from where you guys were in the opener. Where have you seen the most improvement from this offensive unit just from practice to week 1 to now?
Yeah, I think just continuing to get just more and more comfortable and confident, and that's what's going to happen when you are basically starting 3 freshmen in a lot of ways and a redshirt freshman quarterback. When you talk about Mazio, Josiah, Mike Smith, receivers in camp and Dre that weren't here in the springtime, with each rep, each game, they're just going to continue to get more and more confident and comfortable, and that's what I saw. To the offensive staff, they spent a lot of time at the end of the week talking about how we want to open the game, whether, whatever you want to call it, scripting the first 10 plays, but, openers that we really want to get to early in the game and having a plan. And certainly on Saturday, I thought Lenoris did a good job of making good decisions. And I said it on the teleconference Sunday night, the first play of the game where we pulled it and dropped the ball off to Josh in the flat was a nice way to start the game. And it also happened to be the last play of the game as well, so just good decision making, clicking, efficient, players getting more and more comfortable with what we're asking them to do, but then also getting more and more comfortable with the scheme. And we're running essentially, the run game changes a lot week to week, not so much schematically but formationally, and schemes a little bit, but the passing game we do the same thing. We just kind of dress it up each week and add a shift, a motion, or a new formation or whatnot. So I think guys are just continuing to get more and more comfortable with what we're asking them to do. But no, that was a nice drive when you can go right down the field and punch it in for 7 points. We're feeling pretty good at that point.
Coach, back on week after penalties, how, to the best of your knowledge, are some of your players doing, like Kyle and these other guys that were on the receiving end of these crucial penalties? How are they doing mentally, again, to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah, I think good. There were we were on a national stage Saturday, and it's one thing that I worry about as a coach. They're players, yes, but I care about these guys as young men, and certainly no one felt worse about Saturday than what Kyle did, and it's a shame because he played his rear end off on Saturday and did a heck of a job. And he apologized to the team in the locker room after the game, and I know he was upset about it, and says a lot about him that he came in here and stood in front of you guys and talked about it today as well. So yeah, you worry about him. Alex Herrera is a heck of a kicker. As a coach, I worry about Alex because he feels terrible about the end of the game, and you worry about him when he's outside this building and what people have to say or whatnot. But we all know that game didn't come down to one play. We all had a hand in it, myself included, and could have been better. And then you really just wrap your arms around all these guys, and we all have each other's backs, and that's essentially what it is. And we had an opportunity to win that game because of everybody, and we need everybody going forward.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering what kind of problems does a team like Akron that runs a lot of non-traditional sets, especially on offense, present to a team that's otherwise kind of in the thick of conference play like you guys are?
Yeah, it's different. The 2-quarterback thing they're doing really is unique. I mean, they're all over the place with that, and like I said, pretty cool some of the stuff they've done with it, and then the quarterback. I mean, he's been around. They're experienced guys, and then they got receivers that can run, and running backs that complement each other well. A tight end that's their leading receiver, so they present a lot of problems. And Coach Moorhead is an offensive guy, and it's why he got the head coaching job at Mississippi State, was because of the offenses that he was running at Penn State, and they were just lighting people up, So he's schematically, he does a great job, and they've got good players as well. So it's what we talked about as a team this morning, myself to the team in the team meeting, was our defense has really got to be, locked in on what's going on from a mental standpoint, because these guys can make you look silly in a second if you're not.
I know last time you talked about him individually, you said Mazio, like something, just the lights go on and he's competitive. Just talking a little bit more about him and I guess what he brings as a player, as a person to this offense that's really just continuing to evolve week to week.
Yeah, I just think kind of the same thing. He gets more and more confident. He's got a great competitive spirit about himself. He's physical in the run game, and that's what I love. When we're asking him to block, a lot of times you see receivers, but particularly freshman receivers, in high school they were asked to go get open and catch the ball, and now we're asking him to go in there and crack block on safeties that are or linebackers that are in the box, and he's going in there and he's throwing his body around, and he's really he's a lot like the rest of our freshman class, just mature beyond his years, and a great competitor, and just really enjoys playing the game. And I think you see that at practice, and you certainly see it on Saturdays.
This is the last time you guys are going to play for 2 whole weeks. Is there one thing or maybe a couple things besides obviously winning the game that you kind of want to see from your team just going into the bye week to feel like you're kind of on track before a break?
A win, honestly. Beyond that, certainly coming out of this game with a win, coming out of this game healthy, and really just, we talked about it as a team this morning that we're now, 4th of the way through the regular season. And after Saturday, we're going to be 1/3 of the way through the regular season. And how quickly can we get better? And each day is getting closer and closer to the end of the regular season. So I'd love to come out of this game on Saturday healthy with a win, but also just really feeling like we've gotten better, and you're seeing signs of that. I just mentioned with some of the receivers and Fred Johnson, what he's as a freshman, he's doing a good job from a special teams standpoint, and David Busey's a true freshman playing on a lot of our special teams, and he continues to get better. So just really feeling that we've made progress. We came out healthy, and we won the game, most importantly.
Hey, Shane, you mentioned in your opening comments about the excitement of playing the first game at Willie B. What's going to be your message to some of the young guys? I think it was last year there was a story about someone who really got a little maybe too caught up in the lights and sandstorm. What are some of the most interesting reactions you've seen from a young player their first time going through that?
Honestly, nothing too crazy this year, I don't think. Rick, I think they've really handled themselves pretty well, I think. I wish I had something better for you. I mean, that was pretty wild. And I mean, I think I saw more, wide eyes and excitement from some of the new coaches on Saturday than maybe some of the freshman players. That's one thing I like about this group. They may they're hyped up and they're emotional, but they're very, businesslike and matter of fact throughout. And I can't think of anything that was too crazy on any of these games, but particularly Saturday. All of our guys were excited, and we wanted them to embrace that environment and certainly enjoy it because they've worked hard to get to play in it.
You spoke about Alex. What do you say to him specifically this week so that the end of Saturday's game doesn't affect his confidence long-term going forward?
Just that, I called him after the game when I was driving home just because I wanted him to know he hit a good kick. It wasn't like he hit like a crap kick that never had a chance. He hit a really good kick and just barely pulled it. And you can tell by his reaction with Kai and a lot of the people in the end zone, a lot of people thought he made it. My wife was down in the tunnel, I think, and she thought he made it. And so he just hit a good kick. So my message to him was, one, you're a big-time kicker, and you've hit some big-time kicks already this year, and you're going to hit some more big-time kicks to help us win football games as this season goes. Keep your head up, and, wish we could have gotten you a little bit closer there to have an even better kick. But as I mentioned on Sunday night, we were trying to get to the 35-yard line, I believe was like the max point, and felt really good about being at the 30. So we were certainly in range and felt great about his ability to hit that kick. And he hit a good one, just missed it a little bit. But that was just a message that, keep your head up. And we were in that position because of you too, and some of the kicks he had hit earlier in the game also.
It's been through 3 games, you guys have given up 13 sacks, and it doesn't seem like it's just one thing, certainly not the offensive line. How much of that is, I guess for the people who just want to put it on one thing, how much of it is the scheme? Is it running backs, position guys not blocking? Is it the quarterback just holding onto the ball too long? Can you kind of describe what has gone into those 13 sacks?
Yeah, it's too many. You know, you can look at stats and skew stats any way you want, but 13 sacks is 13 sacks. And through 3 games, it's not what we want. Now, we've played some pretty good defenses as well. Let's give them a little bit of credit. And I do think those statistics, balance out and even out as the year goes, as everybody starts playing similar competition throughout the season. But certainly it's way too many. And I think you have to look at everything. It's not just one position. It's what you just mentioned. It's all of the above. It's tight ends. It's running backs. It's the one we got hit and strip sacked on the other day was the running back and the tight end. We've had some with the offensive line. So I think when you have 13, you've got to certainly look at everything. Like, what are we asking our guys to do schematically, checking at the line of scrimmage, which we've done some of that. Personnel-wise, just a guy getting beat. We've had some of that, but certainly, when 13 about what, three a game, a little over 3 a game, I guess. Is that right? Yeah, I was never good at math. It's not a good figure, and that was one of the things that we said going into Saturday against LSU was we know what. We've had too many negative plays against Missouri the last 3 seasons, and they've sacked us, and they did a good job on Saturday. But I think it's more, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a combination of everything. We just got to do a better job, and certainly can't give up 3 a game on average.
Shane, you guys are wearing the throwback uniforms this week. How do those come about? Did you have input into that, or just how was that decided? Yeah, very little.
Larry Waters, our head of equipment, came to me. It was probably about this time last year, David, and showed me pictures of, hey, Under Armour University wants to do a throwback game. This is what they're going with. Are you good with these uniforms? And if it was this time of year, we were probably getting ready to play Mississippi State, I think, about this time last year. And I think he came to me like on a Monday or Tuesday night. And at that point, I could really give two what's about what uniform we were going to be wearing in 2024. So I think I looked at it and I said, that's cool. Let's roll. And then I didn't really think about it again until he showed me the helmet back in July, I believe. Here's what the helmet's going to look like, and here's the uniform, and here's the pants. And then I think we put something on social media back in August. Luke walked in our team meeting room and showed the team what it looked like. So to answer your question, I didn't have a lot of input other than just looking at it and saying that looks great. But our players are excited, and it's great to be able to honor that era of Gamecock football with that uniform, which will be pretty cool.
Kind of random questioning here, but there's an online analytics company that measured Rocket and Lenoris running over 20 miles an hour. Were those numbers accurate?
Yes. We had Lenoris at 20 point something, and we had Rocket at 21.1. Is what we had. So we actually recognized him in the team meeting this morning. We had 4 players over 20 miles an hour on Saturday, and Rocket was our fastest at 21.1. So kudos to him. He'll be the first to tell you he probably came in not the best physical condition when he got here. So kudos to him and our training staff and nutrition and strength and conditioning staff that he was able to do what he was able to do Saturday and run 21.1 miles an hour.
Who were those other guys? Was Bengali Kamara one? Because there was one player where it looked like he
was who?
Kamara?
I don't know if he was. It was him. It was King Ford was one of them. Mo Brown, I believe, was one of them. And there's another one, and he's going to kill me because I can't remember who it was. I forget. If I'll let you know if I've still got the sheet in my office. If I am forgetting somebody, I'll let you know. And Kamar Bell, an offensive lineman, he had a personal speed best. He ran. I want to give some love to the big guys. He ran 18.6 miles an hour, which is pretty dang sporty for an offensive guard.
That was going to be my guess, him or Torricelli.
Yeah.
For the other guy.
Both those guys roll. I would have guessed Torricelli too because he can roll. All those guys can run. Josiah, Vershawn. I'll give Kaysen a little bit of credit, but yeah, Kamar 18.6. So he was. The team was excited about that too when we recognized him.
with ball security, what are you seeing on tape over the last few weeks that has kind of been the result of these fumbles? And you, as a coach, how do you go about trying to coach that a little better to reduce that number?
Yeah, that one's hard for me too because that's all we talk about. And in practice, y'all have been out there, we do some sort of, we call it turnover tackle circuit, but we call it, stiff arm, where you sideline and back. Y'all have seen us do that, and everybody works on stiff arming with ball security. And then the other one we call is called stumble bum, where you run and your hand goes down to the ground, and the defender is trying to pop it out. We do what we call double ball, where you put 2 balls in each hand, and a lot of college teams do this. But that drill, we have other drills that we do for that. We do it every Tuesday and Wednesday during practice. And then in addition, after that's over, we always start practice like today with a takeaway circuit where the defense works on taking the ball away, but then also another ball security circuit just for the offense. So we kind of going back to the penalties. We've just got to do a better job of emphasizing it. But to answer your question, I think, we've put the ball on the ground 7 times in the last 2 games. You're not going to survive doing that. And a lot of them is just, Dowd will tell you and the quarterbacks will tell you they've got to be better with their ball security, not hanging on to the ball too long in the pocket. And when you are in the pocket, making sure we're using the techniques that we want you to. When you are running it, make sure you're carrying the ball the way that we teach you to carry it. The one happened with Josh the other day. We'd love for that ball, if it was over there on their sideline. I think that ball was in his inside hand, if I'm not mistaken. And we teach, to get that ball in the outside hand because the pursuit's coming from inside out. So it's frustrating, but again, at the same time, it's something that we're emphasizing, but we've got to do a better job of emphasizing it for sure.
Coach, I know you've had some other receivers emerge, but I was just curious, what does Nick Harbor look like on the practice field? I know you want to scheme for him, and I know defenses are aware of him. What does it look like out there Monday through Thursday with Nick Harbor?
It looks like a guy that's working hard to continue to get better, and a guy that works hard to continue to learn what we're asking him to do, and a guy that's working hard to catch the ball consistently, just like all of our receivers are, and every player that we have. It looks like he's out there working really, really hard to be a great player, because it's very important to Nicholas to be a great receiver, and he's doing a really good job on special teams, covering kicks for us, and I was on the kickoff return team the other day and did some things on offense, and we'll continue to get better along with the rest of our guys. All right, thank you, Coach. Thank y'all.